Welcome to the Eastern District's Pipe Band Explainer video, if you'd like to call it that. In essence, just a little bit of background about how this all started and what the thoughts and ideas behind it were and are. Um, Essentially, there are examples of this type of setup. They're not particularly common in terms of how they work in terms of the affiliation structure. So when the impetus was created to create this structure, the Eastern District's Pipe Band, the idea behind that was to essentially allow affiliated bands an opportunity to grow in their own local sense, but also for those members that want to compete in a vehicle like this one. And if you look at a lot of smaller bands, let's say, regardless of where they're located, you will find fairly commonly that you might have just on minimum numbers to compete, or you'll find that half the band wants to compete and half just wants to do the social stuff or parades or what have you. So the reason why it wasn't set up as a band that's not affiliated, so in other words, just a vehicle for bringing people in directly, was to allow for the growth and expansion uh, of the local bands through affiliation. And that's a really important key point because if they had gone directly through the approach of a direct vehicle, then we'd think that maybe the local bands might actually deteriorate. It becomes a little bit sort of predatory. And you also find that you might get the urge in order to improve competitive performance to bring in pipers, drummers directly into the group. And obviously, if those pipers, drummers are associated with other bands, this could be detrimental to the other bands because once if you're there to compete as a piper at whatever grade or drummer, let's say, once you're into that competition aspect, you might not have the desire to be affiliated with the local group anymore. So we're hoping that this structure would allow for both. So it allows for the local bands to affiliate, to get the benefits of the affiliation, whether it be through tuition or doing gigs together or doing interesting new things together, but most importantly through competition. And the thought there is rather than having a local band competing on its own with one or two pipers that are maybe not at the standard, even in the lower grades, let's say, you might find that it becomes a little bit sort of self-defeating in some regards. So once the bands do grow, and if they do grow in their own local sense, um, they can compete individually as well, should they choose. So the key point or key takeout there is that the route to success, I suppose, is that through affiliation, through affiliated bands, members can then enter into the combined band, if you want to call it that, which is the Eastern District's Pipe Band. And so here the key part of that is that to become a member, you need to enter through those groups. So you can either be affiliated with an affiliate band, or you can be a member of an affiliate band if you don't have one, or if you're in a group or a band out there that has the same issues around competing effectively, you could choose to affiliate with the Eastern Districts. The affiliation does not in any way sort of diminish the local group or your local band if it's smaller, even if you don't have the numbers. In fact, the idea there is to bolster it so that if you have gigs, etc., we can do combined gigs together, and as well as obviously competition. And so let's talk a little bit about how to become a member, right? So to become a member, basically you'd need to be approved by a home band. So the home band is one of the affiliated bands. At the moment, the affiliated bands include Warrigal, RSL, Ringwood, Clan Gregor, and soon there's going to be another group called Gippsland Scottish Society. So there's 4 affiliated groups at the moment. In terms of membership, you'd lodge an application through to the band committee, which will be approved based on once it's been reviewed. And then you'd pay the annual membership fee, and you would become part of the Eastern Districts band from a competition perspective. Key point out there is that in terms of the band structure, uh, this is quite an important one, is that the affiliated bands each get up to 2 delegates into the band committee. Now, from those delegates, let's say, so there's 8 delegates today. From those delegates, then they can continue to nominate presidents, secretary, treasurer, that sort of a thing. And also, the other important thing is to understand that the leadership, the part major and leading side, etc., is essentially uh, defined through that committee. So, and it's based on a project basis. So, the first project that the Eastern Districts has is to compete at the Nationals at Perth next year. Next year, following that, there might be other things. It could be something like playing in New Zealand, for example, or maybe in the future playing at the Worlds. So these projects are clearly defined in terms of time frame and objectives, and the leadership is essentially nominated for that purpose. So it gives, I think, a fairly democratic involvement, especially for the affiliated bands, and also it allows for stability because the bands are affiliating directly with the structure. It's not individuals that are affiliating. So if you wanted to join and you're somewhere out there in regional Victoria, let's say, then the route for you to do that would be to join an affiliate band in order to get through the process of membership. And the thinking behind that is that it allows for the growth and expansion, ideally, of those affiliated structures. So it's all working hand in hand. Let's talk a little bit about expectations. So for expectations, a couple of key things to understand, right? So these are not revolutionary. The band doesn't meet every week at a given location. It has a clearly planned schedule, and you'll meet, let's say, once a month at various locations, maybe once every 6 weeks, and the committee is needed to meet every quarter. And what happens there is basically that you are actively engaged, that you attend, especially those joint practices. The local bands also have little pods, so a subset of the local band or affiliated band, which will focus on the competition music. So that's giving those competitive people in the group a chance to level up into the affiliated Eastern Districts. Also, obviously, responding to engagements, lessons, and rehearsal requests, which we've just discussed. Engagements where possible, lessons and rehearsals have been committed to, and then also, simple things like following through with your core leader. So each area or each affiliated band essentially will have a dualistic approach. One will be that they're focused on whatever it is that they do outside of the competition sphere. And then the other will be that they will have a subgroup within that will have become members of the Eastern Districts that will focus on competition. So they get to essentially support both aspects. I think that's enough of the background. If you have a look at the website, you can refer to this document I'm showing you here, which is the handbook. It's got a fair amount of detail that I haven't covered, but please do take the time to have a look at that. And if you have any questions, etc., feel free to send us a comment, or there's a contact form on the website, totally anonymous if you wish it to be that way. Um, and any questions you have, or if you have any interest in joining, let us know and we'll be in touch. Thank you.